Hello everyone, back with another video. Happy May the 4th everyone, and it is Star Wars Day. So you know what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to be reviewing every single Star Wars media since 2018 of May the 4th. So that counts like everything from Solo to Clone Wars Season 7. I would do more, but listen, then I have podcast about reviewing Star Wars coming soon. So I'm going to be saving those for the podcast and just be reviewing this. Alright, so I just need to clarify one thing. I have reviewed some of this stuff before, but some of those reviews I'm not very proud of, or I'm gonna give my updated thoughts on them. And also, I'm not gonna be reviewing every piece of Star Wars media, like Star Wars Resistance, I don't really care for. I'm only gonna be reviewing the stuff that I care for, like Star Wars Clone Wars, Mandalorian, the movies, and maybe, and obviously a couple other things like the video games. So, yeah. Anyways, let's get into our ranking, starting off with Solo, or not ranking, just reviews. Alright, so Solo, if you watched my podcast review, you know that I never got to review this because of the fact that my friend never really saw Solo, so I couldn't review this and give my thoughts on it. Also, since I don't really upload lightning round reviews on this channel anymore, because I mainly just do reviews and podcasts, I never really thought I'd get the opportunity to review this again, but here we are. Alright, so I'm going to start off with the good things and then the bad things. The first good thing is I really do love Alden Ehrenreich's performance as Han Solo. He's not really trying to copy Harrison Ford, and I love that. Because Harrison Ford said he put his own personality into the role, so it would have been really real if Alden Ehrenreich tried to do that, but thankfully he didn't. Also, him and Chewbacca's connection is really good. You really believe their connection, and I do love the scene where Chewbacca and him meet. In fact, I actually love a lot of the characters in this. Lando is kind of meh, so is L3, but stuff like Beckett and his crew is overall really nice, and I do really love it. Also, another thing people don't really talk about is Paul Bettany as the villain, as he's not some evil psychopath. He's just a chill guy, and yeah. Also, this movie has some really good action scenes. The shootout scene in about the middle point of the movie is a nice little scene where we can see all the characters fighting together. It also serves as a nice little way to the castle run. The train scene is overall just a really cool, awesome action set piece. And the action is this cool James Bond-esque thing, and I think it's overall really awesome. Also, this movie has some really good world building, and it has some good planets, as it shows us stuff like the coaxium mines and a few other planets as well, which I think is very cool. Also, I really do love the score for this movie. The score, if you ask me, is great. I deeply love it, and I do not have any problems with that either. Finally, a lot of the humor really does work for me. My favorite humor of the movie coming from Han Solo and Chewbacca. Alright, that's gonna be for the good things, because I do have a few problems with the movie as well. My first problem with the movie is I feel like there are a lot of scenes where the lighting is very bad. There are some scenes that you just cannot see a single thing in, and it is very annoying. My second thing is Lando and L3 are both kind of weird in this movie. Donald Glover's acting is really bad, and L3 was just written horribly. She's fighting for droid rights, which I think can be an interesting concept if executed right, but it just wasn't here. My final problem with the movie was I feel like a lot of the pacing was really bad. This film had like a director swap thing, so it makes sense that the pacing would be bad. But yeah, this does have some bad pacing. Because what would happen is sometimes there'd be a scene that's like totally silent and there'd just be something else going on. And then out of nowhere there'd be an action scene. A big example is when Han leaves Corellia and then all of a sudden it pops up and there's a freaking action scene. It's stuff like that just doesn't make much sense. Anyways, I do just really love this movie. I overall just I love this man. It's overall a really nice ride. The connection between Chewbacca and Han Solo is really good. This is Chewbacca's best movie. If you ask me, Han Solo's second best. Like this is just such a good movie if you ask me. This movie is just a pure Star Wars adventure and I love it. So anyways, I'm gonna be giving this movie an 8 out of 10.
Is there any version of this plan that doesn't end up with us being dead?
Alright, so Vader Immortal was one I never really got to review, mainly because of the fact that at the time I didn't know that it came out in 2019. I thought it came out in 2020 when I released that video of me ranking all of that content. Also, I I did not play the game at the time. However, thanks to Mr. Mango's got subscribed, and by the way, I was able to play the game. Also, this game individual in particular, I will not be reviewing an episode. I'm just going to be reviewing the game as a whole. So I'm going to be starting off with easily the best thing about this game, the combat. A VR Star Wars game is something that so many people have wanted, and that is because of the lightsaber combat. Lightsaber combat in VR would be awesome, and here it is really good. Also, Darth Vader in this game is awesome. It is really awesome to see the presence of Darth Vader in this game, and it's overall really cool. And finally, another thing that is really cool is it's really cool to see Mustafar and Vader's castle and stuff. It actually looks awesome, and visually it's amazing. And the bad stuff. Well, there's a lot of things to say. I'm going to first start off with, well, the combat. The combat is really great, but I do have kind of an issue with it. It doesn't give you that full freedom control because of the fact that it's VR, but the way that it's designed is you can't really move around in the combat, not without having a big area. Most people don't really have that big of room to work with. So it just ends up with you standing still, feel like you don't have the complete control over your combat, which makes the combat feel like it has missed potential. Also, the storyline's really boring. Seriously, I do not care. I do not give two shits about the storyline. This story is overall really dumb, and it's just it's really bad. There are also a lot of dumb characters, like that stupid droid thing. Also, there's this weird little lady. There's this weird girl who's kind of like a queen like thing. I don't know. It was so boring. I don't even know who she was. It's like she kind of commands an army at the end. She is so weak, and her voice is so stereotypical that it actually seems like something out of a fucking parody. And there's just not really much to say about this game, to be honest. So overall, this game is, it has some good combat, but its storyline and characters are so bad, and I should probably mention as well, the character you play as has no personality, just none, at all. So yeah, this game is overall, it has a great combat, but it has a really bad storyline and really bad characters. So I think I'm also gonna be giving this game a 6 out of 10. Alright, guys, The Mandalorian show. This is one I've already gave my opinions on, but that is a review I'm not very proud of. So let's do this again. I'll start off with the positives. I really like a lot of these characters. Some of my favorites being the Mandalorian, Great Karga, Queel, Cara Dune, which are all the main characters, but of course also Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda is probably a classic Star Wars character now, and he's just taken over the internet, or he did take over the internet when this show first came out. But every character has such a nice personality, and all of them pretty much have a unique line, such as Quill, his I have spoken. Grief Karga has a nice personality. Cara Dune has a nice little quippy thing, and the Mandalorian is overall really badass. And sometimes it's nice to see him struggle and fight and get his ass beat, because it's refreshing in Star Wars. Speaking of that, I do like a lot of the action scenes. Some of my favorites being the one at the end of episode 1 with IG-11 and the Mandalorian fighting all those raiders. Another one being the one in episode 3, and another one being in episode 8, and as well as one in episode 6. These are all very good action scenes, as they have good set pieces, well staged action, and overall can be pretty creative. Also, I feel like this something I was worried about with the show is I was worried about its wide variety of planets, but this one actually gives us quite a few. I mean, we get Navarro, we get a Tatooine, and we get a few other planets as well that we haven't seen in Star Wars before. Because I was worried that it would just be all set on one planet. Why it's mostly set in Navarro, it's set on a lot of other planets too. And it's also another thing I enjoy that something I like about episode 6. Why I don't like episode 6 in general. I do like seeing the Rebels again, which was pretty cool, and seeing Dave Filoni, the cameo as one of them was also pretty nice. Also, I like the villain Moff Gideon, and how he's just trying to hold his power from the Empire. And I also kind of like that client dude, as because one of his lines was, look outside, does the world look more peaceful since the revolution? And I realized, oh yeah. But that doesn't mean that they're necessarily keeping peace, but it's actually an interesting way to think about things. Something else I like is that there's no big bullshit in this. There's no big Star Wars lightsaber fights like there's in pretty much every other Star Wars media. Like, I'm not calling the lightsaber fights in every movie bad. I just appreciate that we have a show that doesn't have any Star Wars lightsabers in it. And however, that is going to change in season 2, but hopefully they can pull that off. And I do also like the scenes with Baby Yoda using Force, like that fourth healing reveal thing was really awesome, and I do really like that. Also, when he held back all that fire against that trooper was also a really awesome moment. Another thing that I do love in this is a lot of callbacks and like rewatchability. A big example is in episode 7 when Baby Yoda heals Grief Karga and he does that little handhold like handout thing. He actually does that same thing to the Mandalorian in episode 2, but obviously the Mandalorian puts him back in his pod. So he couldn't really do that. But when you realize that, it's actually really interesting in how he was trying to heal him. Another one is when you see the Mandalorian's backstory of him getting rescued by the Mandalorians during the Clone Wars, he reaches out his hand, and then you realize at the end of episode 8, you actually see Baby Yoda reach out his hand to Greef Karga and Cara Dune when they're flying away, which I think is also really interesting. I think that it's a really nice thing for them to add as it kind of gives the show a bit of rewatchability. Also, I really like the like final scene of episode 8, how it shows the dark saber, because I think it's kind of weird that he did it. Like, how did he get it? But I do think it's a neat idea and kind of interesting as well. A few of the things I think this show does well is I feel like it does good at establishing a tone. Um, Such as it's like it does good at balancing humor, such as in episode 8 has quite a bit of humor, like with the stormtroopers, and also when Baby Yoda does a little wave thing for hi. I think that's pretty nice humor, and also it has plenty of gritty moments, and you can see like how bad the galaxy is in a position right now ever since the Empire fell because of what the Empire left them in. Also, episode 3 is the best episode of the season. Like, not even a question. Episode 3 is easily the best. Now, as for problems that I have, my first problem is episode 5 and 6 are really bad. Episode 5 has bad acting, no tension, and it's overall just really boring. And episode 6 has just bad characters. However, episode 6 does have good action. In my opinion, episode 5 is the worst. But yeah. The other problem with these episodes is the fact that they're kind of filler in the overall story arc because they don't really have anything to do with it. Now, granted, episodes 2 and 4 don't really either, but at least episode 2 and 4, they basically what they do is they introduce a new character, Cara Dune, in episode 4, or they build up relationships such as the Mandalorian and Quill, or the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. Also, another problem I have is that in episode 4, they kind of try to set up this little love interest thing, but the love interest is just not interesting at all. It's kind of flat, if you ask me, and really unearned. Also, another thing I don't really understand are those tracking com devices and how they work. I don't understand how they work. Like, does it take their DNA or something and track them? I don't know. So, overall, I will be giving this show an 8 out of 10.
Trust only in the Force.
Alright, so Jedi Fallen Order, I have, before I get into my before I get into my thoughts on this game, some of you guys may know, I don't really give this game that many high praises, though I do have several issues with it, and, I know a lot of people personally love this game, but I just personally don't, and let me discuss it. Alright, so I'm gonna start off with the good stuff with the game first, and easily the best thing of this game is the combat. The combat is a lot of fun, and it gives you a nice little variety because of the skill tree, and you can have like a little double bladed lightsaber, you can have your dual wielding lightsaber. It's overall kind of cool. Another positive that I do have with this game is I do appreciate a lot of the characters. With my personal favorite being Trilla. Trilla has such a unique and sympathetic backstory that I really do appreciate in Star Wars. Also, a lot of these graphics look really good. Seriously, some of the graphics look really good, especially when they shine on Kashyyyk, because of all the grass and stuff like that. They also look really awesome and nice in the opening scene in the opening tutorial with all the rain falling down. Alright, another thing I really do like in this game is another character is Cal. I really do think Cal is a really nice character as he's a Padawan who survived Order 66, and he has a really nice little thing with his master and how he kind of he feels like obviously grateful over it, and the moment where he kind of overcomes that is really cool. Also, the connection with him and BD1 is really nice. I was worried it would be like really cheap, kind of like University was in her droids, and it would just be useful, and it would just be like for story. But no, they actually have some really good moments, and my favorite is in this scene. In fact, this is my favorite scene or moment, I guess, with the two characters, because BD actually has a personality. Also, a lot of these boss battles are really fun, and they are kind of unique. And each one is just overall really fun, and it kind of some of it kind of makes sense in the story, while some of it doesn't. But it's overall really fun. Also, another thing that I do love is the time period. Because of the time period is set between a Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, it's able to allow you the feeling of getting worlds populated by stormtroopers and inquisitors and the Empire. So it can really give you that feeling. And finally, I really love the adventure aspect of it. Basically, like there's something that's really cool that they does. It's like, say you go through a door, then there'll be three more ways to go. A crack that you can go through, a wall to climb, or a rope to swing on. This game has a huge adventure aspect, much like Uncharted, and that can be this game's downfall and advantage. Which brings us to this game's first issue. So many of these stupid puzzles are just so bad, man. A lot of them are really annoying, can be really long, and can be really confusing as well. And it really can take away from the pacing of the game. And one specifically took me about an hour or two just to do, which was very frustrating, considering the game is about 20 to 22 hours long. And I feel like a large portion of this is because of the Kashyyyk planet. The Kashyyyk planet is so bad. A lot of the stuff on it feels like something out of a completely different game. A big example is when you constantly be hopping from plant to plant. It feels like something out of Sonic or a Nintendo game. Also, on Kashyyyk, I have found numerous glitches. Also, I feel some of these characters are kind of underused or had missed potential, and a big example is Marin, because all she really does is help you out in the final part when she rescues you from Darth Vader, which yeah, that's a big important part in the story, but I feel like she could have done way more, especially considering the fact that she's a Night Sister. Okay, another complaint that I have is a double-bladed lightsaber. I know I kind of praised this earlier, but I do have an issue with it. My issue is that the targeting system with it. Like, I understand if people rather use the single-bladed over the double saber, mainly because of the fact that the double saber, it doesn't have a combo attack. If you hit the X button, as I'm on Xbox, if you hit the X button once, then it does all three moves, two hits and the combo. And I feel like this is a problem. The reason I feel like this is a problem is because you also usually like move forward while you're doing a lightsaber. So I feel like this can mess up the targeting system as it can make you go forward and you can't really control where you're going. And this is why I would rather use single bladed. Now this also brings me a problem with the double bladed or the double saber thing, where I know I've praised this earlier, but they spent this whole thing building up to this amazing reveal, and then it shows you the double saber, and then all it is two lightsabers they can only do as a combo. Wow. How impressive. This is a really big problem to me because it doesn't really do anything. It's just a little move that they added. It feels kind of like a sided thing. Now finally, my biggest problem with this game is the ending. The ending sucks. You spend this whole movie looking for this holocron, and then what do you do at the end? You snap it in half. Well, you break it in half with your lightsaber, whatever. Now, some people do defend this because of the fact that Cal had a vision where he became an Inquisitor, but I don't think this is true because the very Inquisitor who turned him and forced him to becoming an Inquisitor, died to Darth Vader. So I really do hate this ending. It is just very unsatisfying because they couldn't rebuild the order because of the time period. So I think what they should have done was have this set after the sequel trilogy, like way for like I don't no not after sequel trilogy because that wouldn't make much sense, but because of the time period they couldn't really do anything and have them rebuild the order, so they had to give this really unsatisfying ending. So they basically just wrote themselves into a corner, and yeah, this is overall the very stupid ending. I hate it, and it's very unsatisfying. And the worst part is we're not even gonna get a DLC. We're getting a second one, which just feels like a ripoff of our money. Now, also, I do have a problem with the graphics because sometimes there are really bad graphical glitches of stuff teleporting and cutscenes, and it's overall very dumb. Like, the Wookiees just look like crap. The Wookiees look like how Leia described them in A New Hope, a walking carpet. Alright, so I think overall I'm going to be giving this game a 6 out of 10. It has a lot of flaws, but the good stuff is really good, except for a few things. Rise of Skywalker, I've certainly changed my opinions on this movie quite a bit. So anyways, I'll start off with the good. The first good thing, I feel like a lot of the legacy characters were treated with respect. Leia, Chewie, and Luke and Han. Especially Han, how he had that really nice moment with Kylo Ren, and how it was basically reenacting scenes from The Force Awakens, but how it would have gone differently if Kylo Ren did turn at that point. Also, the scene with Luke Skywalker is really nice after his arc in The Last Jedi, and why I personally do really like The Last Jedi. Also, it does give a really nice conclusion to Kylo Ren, and yeah, and Ben Solo as a whole, as he gives his redemption. And then I would have preferred if he stayed alive and Rey died. At the same time, though, there are reasons why that couldn't happen because Kylo would be basically wanted like everywhere. So yeah. I really like the opening scene, the Millennium Falcon chase scene, with all the lightspeed hopping and skipping. It's really cool. However, I do have several problems that I'm just gonna mention I'm gonna mention all in a row because I really do not want to talk about this movie. I've talked about this movie so much, and I do not want to talk about it again. My first problem is the pacing. The movie is really fast. That's like how the section of the video is gonna be. My second problem is a lot of stuff seems like it's stolen from Endgame. A big example is two big examples is when basically in the Avengers Endgame, Captain America he's about to go face down like a whole army by himself and stuff like that. But then he gets a comm link from Falcon, and then there's like a whole army of Avengers. Kind of like how in this movie is, and when Poe seems like goes back to go fight that army, the Final Order army, which is a stupid name by the way, and then he gets a comlink from Lando, and then there's a whole fucking spaceship army. It's so stupid, man. And another one is when Palpatine says, "I am all the Sith," kind of like how Thanos said, "I am inevitable," and then Rey said, "And I am all of the Jedi," and then turns on a lightsaber. And then Iron Man says, "And I am Iron Man," and then snaps. And kind of like how Rey's turning on her lightsaber is meant to be like Iron Man's snap. So yeah, that's one of my problems with this movie. Also, the plan to rescue Chewbacca wasn't really stupid. They just went in guns blazing, hoping it would work. Palpatine coming back was stupid. I don't care if it was a clone, it was still retarded. Also, Rey being Palpatine's granddaughter is really retarded as well, ruins what The Last Jedi did. And yeah, it's just particularly stupid. There are a lot of conveniences as well, such as Kylo Ren showing up on the second Death Star, which was really stupid as well. This movie also had some of the most shameless marketing ever, with both of the trailers being completely misleading. Well, actually, all three trailers being misleading, to the point where it actually kind of ruined and saturated my experience of this. A big example is the Darth Vader thing and how they treated it like it was such a big thing in the trailers, and here it's just a little hallucination scene. Also, there are like 5 fake deaths in this movie. The first one is with Chewbacca when it seems like he blew up. The second one is with C-3PO when it seems like he got his memory wiped. Next one was with Kylo Ren when he got stabbed with a lightsaber. But oops, force healing. Next one was with Kylo Ren again when he fell down a huge ravine. Next one was with Rey when she just died and then got revealed with force healing. Well, and my problem is two of these things got healed with the same plot device. Also, this movie expands too much on the Force, and I do not like it. Palpatine shoots a huge freaking shockwave into the sky, and takes out like a whole fleet of ships. Is able to power them off. Like, what? Also, the force healing thing. This is something that does. I kind of like this. I think conceptually it's kind of cool. Especially, I think it makes sense for someone like Baby Yoda, and for someone like Rey, it can certainly raise up some intrigue. But I don't. How did she learn force healing? I don't care that force healing's a thing. I just don't like about how she learned it. How did she learn force healing? I'm deeply curious. That's the thing I forgot to mention that I like. I like the dynamic between Raven and Poe. I think it's really good in here. Also, the acting in this is pretty good. Some of the lightsaber combat is fine, I guess. Like the Death Star 2 fight was nice, but yeah. Overall, I'm going to be giving this movie a 6 out of 10. Alright, Clone Wars Season 7. There, so far, at the time of recording this video, only 3 out of the 4 episodes for the Ahsoka arc have come, for the Mandalore arc have come out. So, yeah, sorry about that. But May the 4th is happening now, so deal with it. Alright, so I'm gonna start off with reviewing the Bad Batch arc first. First thing about the Bad Batch arc is with the good is I feel like a lot of these new Bad Batch, a few of these Bad Batch characters are pretty cool. Wrecker has a fun personality. Tech is really useful for the plot, and yeah, that's kind of cool as well. And so it's really cool that they brought back Echo. Although how did he survive? I don't know. I mean, that motherfucker literally got blown up, and all of a sudden he's back with like the only damage being some white, a few things in his head, like things. I don't know what they are to be honest, and a metal hand. Yeah. I feel like this arc also gives a really good, um, arc for Captain Rex, and cause I really do love Captain Rex in this, and I love Echo's ending as well, and it's overall really cool. Also, immediately you can tell how much better this animation is because there's a really cool fight scene in the first episode, and I think it's the last episode of this arc where there's like a cool little one-take fight scene of them going inside a building and like them circling around and then going to the back, and it's all like meant to look like one take, which is very cool, especially considering for this animated show and how the show is usually known for its jump cuts. And I do have some problems with this arc as well. My first problem is, well, a lot of the Bad Batch, like two out of the Bad Batch characters are very forgettable. The sniper dude and the other one are very bad and have like no personality. Also, a lot of the action is very forgettable in this. There's a lot of action scenes, and the only real memorable one is that first one that I just mentioned. Also, there's just a lot of dumb stuff in these conveniences, and again, how did Echo survive? I really don't know, but I really want to know how did he survive a freaking explosion. Anyways, there's not really much left to say about this arc. It's overall kind of forgettable. So overall, I will give this arc a 7 out of 10. Alright, next let's discuss the Ahsoka arc, which I hate. Alright, so the first positive I will mention is Ahsoka is overall really cool. You can tell how much more mature she has gotten since season 5 of the Clone Wars, and it's overall really nice. Also, some of the banter between Ahsoka and Rafa, a new character, is also kind of funny as well, and yeah. Finally, it's also really cool to see Darth Maul in this, and how he controls the pikes and stuff like that. That's awesome. Actually, finally this time, there are some really awesome moments where Ahsoka like uses the Force, and they're like built up and stuff, and it's awesome. There are also some beautiful shots in this, like when Ahsoka is like standing on the edge of somewhere, and then like a shift comes above. It looks awesome. Also, there are some cool one-take fight scenes as well, where she's like beating up a bunch of people like coming to get money and back and stuff. Anyways, with problems, I do have quite a few. My first problem is Trace. Trace is a really bad character. Trace is so bad, so stupid, and so annoying that she actually holds the other two characters back on their mission. The first example is when she dumps out all of the spice that they're gonna get because she didn't want her ship to be taken, which that was completely out of her personality because she was never really shown to care about the ship, but she's just really retarded. The second instance was in the third episode of the Ahsoka arc, where basically they were about to escape, and they could have escaped if Trace didn't insist on going back for her ship. If they never insisted on going back for her ship, then they would have been able to escape. And this brings me on to episode 3, which is a big problem I have with this arc. Episode 3 is all filler. Basically what they try to do is they try to escape the prison. But at the end, they end up right back in the prison. It was all filler. Now, some may say that it's not filler because of the fact that Bo-Katan spotted Ahsoka. But Bo-Katan could have just seen Ahsoka in episode 2 or episode 4 of this arc. Like, it's really that hard? Are you telling me that I had to watch this whole episode to see a little, like, 2-second moment? Also, this arc has no tension and no urgency at all. There are a lot of action scenes in this and a lot of chase scenes, but they have no urgency, no tension, and they're overall really boring. Also, there's no character arc in this. There's no like depth for Ahsoka, nothing for her to learn, nothing for her to realize. The only thing is that she realizes that what the Jedi haven't really been doing, but it's not really much of a character arc because she already kind of realized that in season 5. So overall, I'm giving this arc a 3 out of 10. Alright, so next up, the Mandalore arc, the Siege of Mandalore. And this arc, so far, is so good, guys. It's amazing. The only way to review this is to review it episodically and like by episode. So the first episode immediately is amazing, and it shows the reunion between Anakin and Ahsoka, which I do kind of have a problem with this, but I'll discuss that later. However, I do really like the fact that Anakin gives her back Ahsoka's lightsabers and how he took great care of them. But something I like even more with how he changed the kyber crystals to blue, because it shows that he never stopped thinking about Ahsoka and how he never forgot about her. Also, Ahsoka in this is really likable. So is Obi-Wan and all the characters. Despite Obi-Wan kind of being a little stringent of the Jedi rules, it's still really awesome in how they bring up Duchess Satine, how she meant something to Obi-Wan. Also, some of the reunion between like Ahsoka and Captain Rex and how they have some really nice banter, especially like with the race to the ground. It's overall really awesome. Also, again, the visuals in this just look amazing. I also really like that a bunch of the clones and Anakin like prepared a little reunion thing for Ahsoka, and how they basically made a bunch of custom helmets from the file first. Also, I do really love the opening with Anakin and Obi-Wan and all that. It's really funny and again really nice banter. And yeah, it's probably my favorite part of the whole episode. So yeah, I've been trying to do some lightning rounds, but I do deeply love this episode. Alright, so episode 2 is my favorite episode of this season so far, and one of my favorite episodes of the Clone Wars of all time. Now, immediately, I'll immediately mention again, Ahsoka is still awesome, so is Obi-Wan, and something else that I love is you can immediately tell when this movie is set. It's set right in Revenge of the Sith, and you know this from when Obi-Wan mentions that Count Dooku is dead. But I'm gonna discuss my favorite thing in this whole arc, probably this whole season. It's the conversation that Ahsoka and Maul had before they had their fight. Their fight that they had is so intense, so amazing, and it's just so interesting as you realize that Maul, he doesn't care about taking over the galaxy. He's just trying to thrive and survive. It's also really intense, and it leads into what is, in my opinion, it's probably the best fight in all of Clone Wars. The Ahsoka and Maul fight is really cool, probably because of the fact that they actually did both motion capture, and they brought back the guy who played Darth Maul in The Phantom Menace. Listen, man, I've never really been impressed by a bunch of Clone Wars lightsaber battles. The only one that I've been impressed by is Darth Maul in a Savage Press versus Palpatine, but that's really it. However, I think this one can be put on par with some of the lightsaber battles in live action. Like, I think this can be put on par with Vader versus Luke in Return of the Jedi. And yeah, this is overall just a really fucking fantastic episode. I do love it. It's one of Darth Maul's best episodes in Clone Wars. It's probably my favorite portrayal of Darth Maul. It's just really awesome, man. All the characters are great. All the action is great. The graphics are great. I overall just really I love this episode, man. It's just fucking fantastic. My only issue is when they're at like the final battle and they're on top of Mandalore. Maul says he's about to kill Ahsoka, but Ahsoka's on like the end of a rod. Why did he not just kill her? Why did he not just cut the rod rather than trying to swing at her? That just doesn't make much sense to me. Alright, so episode 3, I do really like this as well. I love how, right off the bat, when they're like transporting Maul, it's like all silent, as it really shows the intense nature of what's about to happen. So I will also mention the Order 66 scene. The Order 66 scene is really awesome, man. I do love it. As you see Rex trying to hold himself back, but eventually he does shoot at Ahsoka. And when he does shoot at Ahsoka, the music cue that plays is really awesome. I wish I could find the clip for you, but I can't. Also, I like how Ahsoka lets out Maul, but not for them to team up. It's for a distraction because it shows that Ahsoka's just trying to live now. Also, I do really love the scene when Ahsoka is like 5 and figures out about all the inhibitor chips and stuff like that. It is really awesome. Also, the conversation that Ahsoka and Rex have is really cool, which is but makes it really sad because it's literally right before Order 66 happens. Another thing I love is when Ahsoka embarks on a conversation that was actually set during Revenge of the Sith when um, Mace Windu says, I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi, and then Yoda says, great care we must take. After that, Ahsoka comes in, and it seems like she's about to tell Yoda something about how what Darth Maul said about Anakin and how he's gonna turn to the dark side and all that stuff. But she said that she'll tell Anakin herself, but it makes that really sad because if she told Yoda, it could have all been prevented. Because, like right after Order 66 happens, so she could maybe blame herself for this as well, which I feel is just awesome, man. My only problem with the episode is there was a weirdly lack of action despite the whole, basically like half the episode being a chase scene. But yeah. Anyways, overall, I'm gonna give this Siege of Mandalore so far. It is a 10 out of 10. I deeply do love it. Alright, well that's gonna be for this video. Hope you guys did enjoy. I do have a few other Star Wars videos planned for the May the 4th. Because it's a Star Wars Day, I have a Battlefront 2 video planned as well. And I might release a podcast if we have the time. I don't know. But yeah, that's gonna be for this video. I really hope you guys did enjoy. This review took a lot of time to make and a lot of editing. So yeah, bye guys. And also May the 4th be with you.